Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Friday, the 11th of September, 2020. Yeah, September 11th, 2020. I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you're ready for the weekend. I've got my co-host, Andy Hall. He's going to join me in just a few minutes. We've got Nokasuchi, the Friday co-host. Man, he's awesome. He's going to be here. We're going to visitate with him for a bit. We're going to talk about Trump. We had Jim Majors. We may not have Jim Majors. I'm not really sure yet. For now, our star of the day has not shown up. But that happens. It happens, and we thrive in adversity right after this. Hello, and welcome to Shakespeare with a Redneck. What the? I am Wild Bill Wigglestick, and I'll be your handsome host, your gilded guide, your cowboy concierge of Shakespeare. Dude, really? Today on Shakespeare with a Redneck, I'm going to perform the prologue from Romeo and Juliet. Damn it, Bill. Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end not could remove, is now the 2 hours traffic of our stage, the which if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Hey, that wasn't half bad. I'm not as dumb as I look. Of course not. You'd be in a coma. Okay, so here's a quick rundown of the situation. Bill, two snot-nosed brats ignore the warnings of their learned parents and end up getting 4 people killed. Bill, come on, man, you're always blah, blah, atheist stuff, blah, blah, boring. Say something fun, for goodness sake. What? Particle is a fun word. Bill, particle. Bill, or talk about horses and dogs. People love horses and dogs. Or boobies. Everybody loves boobies. Bill, oh, can I say boobies on YouTube? If you close your eyes, it doesn't count. Talk about boobies then. Okay, everybody loves those cute little blue-footed bastards. It hurts right here. Culture, baby, coming at you. Avoid bringing a plague on both your houses. A plague on both your houses! By hitting that subscribe button, then that little notification bell. And bang that thumbs up button like frisky cousins at a family reunion. Thank you and take care. Peace. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the Wild Bill commercial. I'm going to be, me and Andy were talking. We're probably going to do an episode on Shakespeare next week because Shakespeare said a lot of things about religion in various different times. Some of it was ugly. Some of it was appropriate to its day, but we're going to talk about that next week. Anyway, good morning, Andy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Chris. I just ate a whoopie pie.
Whoopie pie.
And I am on my second cup of coffee, so I feel like I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go. Twitching, huh? Awesome. Did you have a good week?
Yes. This is my first week of being officially unemployed, and I believe I haven't fallen into any kind of existential hole during this time. I'm keeping myself busy and positive. At least positive for me.
Yeah, right. Stay upbeat, man. There's an existential hole out there with your name on it. I know you can find it.
Does Gary Priestley not know what a whoopie pie is? Because that seems criminal. I'm looking at the chat, and you don't know what a whoopie pie is?
I've never heard of a whoopie pie.
Let me bring Nokasuchi on. We got Nokasuchi. Let me bring Nokasuchi on. Nokasuchi's on.
Hey.
Good morning, Nokasuchi. Now that we got Nokasuchi on, you guys know the rage.
What's up, y'all?
He's wonderful. Now, Andy, do tell.
Okay, so I'm going to show you first the image.
Does it make noises?
What a whoopie pie is. Let me show you an image.
Should I pop it up on the screen here? I'll pop something up
here. This is what a whoopie pie is, my friends. This is what we call a gaggle, I believe, of whoopie pies. They run in herds at times, and they are designed to make you overweight.
I was going to say, it looks like a heart attack waiting to happen. I'm trying to cut down on those.
I had one, the thing is that my girlfriend, her company that she works for, they give her free stuff. They have little parties online. And so they will literally send her beer and whoopie pies. And she had this online party with her coworkers, and she had a couple of extra whoopie pies. And I was mucking around the refrigerator this morning, and I said, "Whoopie pie, this is great! I gotta get mine." So I got my whoopie pie. That was my breakfast, effectively.
That's got to be like a New England thing. Down south, we just moon pies. That was
moon
it.
pies.
Yeah. Moon pie.
Yeah, moon pie. A moon pie from the Green Mile, right? Oh, I love that scene. I want to say, before we get too far along, I want to say hello to everybody in the damn nation, the chat over here. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Trina DeLuca, Gary Priestley, Epileptic Skeptic, Urbench is here. Did you know Urbench was here? Microraptor. I'm coming back to your statement in just a second after I say hi to more folk. Epileptic Skeptic, Jadzia Dax, good morning. It's nice to see you on Not Sci-Fi Saturday. We're not going to have Sci-Fi Saturday again tomorrow, but I'm going to have it possibly next week. Not tomorrow, but next week. Miss Leanne's got a gig. She's got a gig in Pennsylvania, so she's not going to make the thing. Anyway, good morning to everybody. Murder Shed Steve from the Atheist Roundtable was also in the chat earlier, sneaking around. Be careful. Go around in pairs, because Murder Shed Steve is in the chat. Keep an eye on each other is all I'm saying. Anyway, hello to everybody who listens on Facebook. Facebook hadn't been broadcasting the last couple of days. I think I fixed it. I thought we were, but we weren't, but now we are. So hopefully everybody on Facebook can see us. So good morning, maybe, to Facebook. We're also streaming live to the Daily Atheist Morning Show podcast. So hello to everybody over there. So I think I got everybody. And of course, the YouTube reviewer has to go back and watch every show. Good morning, everybody. All right, guys, let's talk about we got a few things to talk about, actually. Trump. We were going to do, Jim Mazurs was going to come and edify us. He's got a theory on Trump being the anti-Christ. But Jim, hasn't arrived yet. So what are your thoughts on, obviously we don't believe in the Antichrist, right? But I mean, if you were to, I don't know, maybe I do all of a sudden.
I think that if there ever was an Antichrist figure, it would definitely be Trump. You have a guy that pretends to be a Christian, yet Christians follow him faithfully for some odd reason. Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to seeing Jim's presentation, so hopefully he'll come with it next week.
Maybe, possibly. He might show. You never know. He may show up. Microraptor made the comment earlier, in Trump country, where we lay this scene. I've been thinking about that, and the one I'd been really wanting to apply to this was friends, Americans, countrymen, what the fuck is going on? but I haven't finished working that one out yet. Sorry. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy the cult mentality. Just follow the guy blindly. Go against everything I've ever said politically in my life because I like this orange guy here.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with my girlfriend. Now, I'm talking a lot about my girlfriend. She should come on camera because we've had this discussion, this debate between the two of us for months now. I've always said Trump is not as stupid as he looks or as he appears, which would be almost biologically impossible, to tell you the truth. Almost. And the newest revelation about him knowing about the virus being deadly and him making a conscious choice of playing the virus down as against to just being a big stupid head and just kind of going through the crisis. I believe, I like your hand, Mr.
Yeah, I'm trying to center myself, make it a little better. There we go.
And clean it off a little bit. I'm just saying, just clean it off.
So now I'm not saying that Trump is a genius, but I'm saying is that he's not as dumb as he appears. Because speaking as someone who is an expert at appearing much more stupid than he really is, you get to see the tricks, right? The obvious talking down to his base, because we all know his base isn't that smart. So he has to, once again, dumb stuff down to people. So I feel that the newest revelation about Trump confirms my hypothesis that he is not as dumb as many people think he is.
As he would have you believe.
I totally agree with it. I mean, the man can't be dumb. So yeah, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth and all of that. But I mean, this guy has had empires of businesses. I mean, he went from a bankrupt joke to The Apprentice and one of the most successful reality stars in the world to president of the United States, kind of as a joke. There's no way the man is stupid, but like, I think you're right. Like he's become really good at media and putting out an image of himself. And I think that's what he's done. He's just painted this base image of himself for a very, very base that he has.
I can feel the base.
That means that he's culpable. He's culpable because he knows what he's doing. He's just playing like he doesn't. And then these things where right now it's not just Donald Trump. It's the entire conservative party is so corrupt. It really doesn't matter what he does. He came out and admitted these things, and that hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost because of what he did. And the conservative party's like,
well, I don't know if you guys saw the interview with the guy
and went on
CNN. I can't remember the senator's name, but he's a senator, and they're asking him about this, and he's just like blah blah blah, and just blank, and I'm like, you're just lying blatantly and just giving it away with your face. I mean, you don't know how to respond to this, and they're trying to paint like Bob Woodward as somehow lying when he's got the tapes.
Bob
like
Woodward,
what? You know,
they're using Trump's own words against him. Now, what we're doing the poll about Trump being the Antichrist. Now, here's the deal, peoples. We all know, or at least most of us here, do not believe in God or Jesus or the Antichrist or nothing. The thing is what the poll, I just didn't really have enough room in the poll. I can ask a really short question and give you the instructions, or I can ask a more in-depth question. But I tried that, and people were like, how do you vote? So I had to put it in the thing. So the deal is, if Christianity, this is the premise. It's just a premise. It's not that we believe it. It's a premise. If Christianity were real, would Donald Trump fit the archetypal of the Antichrist?
Well, he would be an Antichrist, right? Isn't anyone who's against Christ considered to be like a type of Antichrist or a category of Antichrist?
There's like a leader, a specific speaker for Satan, and that would be the Antichrist. Who, or however Christians interpret it.
I was always confused whether it was Satan himself reincarnated, whether it was
me too.
Mephistopheles. I've heard some theories that it's Mephistopheles, his number one demon or whatever. I'm like, it's all weird. But I think like in context of the question, they say that Bill Clinton was the Antichrist, or Obama. I've literally seen videos where they've edited Obama to where he has like horns coming out, and they're like, he's the Antichrist. So like in context of that, which would be, is Donald Trump really the Antichrist or Barack Obama? I think that's kind of like
what's interesting is you can tell how old someone is by the first Antichrist they remember. The first person dubbed the Antichrist by crazy right-wing media. And my first Antichrist, as I recall, was Gorbachev. Because he had that big birthmark.
I remember that.
On his gob. And people are like, he's got the mark of the beast on his forehead. It's right there.
Old like me.
I remember that too.
Did any of you guys read the Left Behind series?
Oh yeah. Oh god.
I vaguely remember one of the heroes that you're following along gets into the because me and a girlfriend I was trying to marry her. We were reading it together, and at some point the hero gets within the sphere of the Antichrist, and it's not described as Donald Trump at all. In this book, he's smart and charismatic, and it's all his winning personality, true winning personality. There are flaws in society, and he's really dealing with him, and he's tricking everybody because they think he's so wonderful. And that's the catch, is that it's actually the Antichrist. And he's trying to sell them these, get on my network, the Soul Network. It's the cellular network. It's also solar, so cellular, and solar, so sell your soul in my network. I mean, they had this whole, but he was competent. Now, Trump seems competent. We've already talked about that. I think he's got handlers, Jared Kushner. I recently heard about Jared Kushner's use of Snapchat and programs like that to conversate with the Russians.
Oh yeah,
and he was using WhatsApp at the very beginning.
WhatsApp,
So they're I think it's clear that they're going out of their way to have private conversations on unsecured phones that aren't being monitored because since Watergate they've been monitoring White House communications. So I think they're definitely going out of their way. I think that whenever this man leaves office, we're going to get a lot of information, but we're not going to get all of it because I think they're destroying it as they go. So
right. In the chat, Jadzia Dax, I just ruined that name. The guy who wrote Dilbert Comics has theories about how Biden is related to Satan, and that Scott Adams. Scott Adams came up with this crazy way of taking Joe Biden's name and turning it into 666.
I saw that. That's craziness.
Like that Scott Adams, man. You gotta start taking your antipsychotics.
And they always use that, like, because they know that they're based as a bunch of religious sycophants, zealots. The most fundamental of the Christians are definitely probably going to be your more conservative people. So they utilize these things, and Joe, you can't vote for Joe Biden. He's the Antichrist. I just literally saw an ad against Joe Biden with Kamala Harris in the background laughing, and then pictures of the burnings from some of the riots. And this is going to be Joe Biden's America. And I'm like, this is your America. What are you talking about?
This is literally his America. Hey, real quick, Micro Raptor makes a point here and says, no, Trump is not the Antichrist. Hitler, for example, was more evil, but more able to get his evil done than Trump. See, that's so far. See, if you were to compare Trump now to Hitler during whenever the Weimar was still around, before he had actually fully taken control and gotten full power, that would be there. The similarities are very, very close between Trump. Now, what happens whenever Trump gets more power? Whenever somebody in the military, whenever our election, they're going, you know what? There's no way this election is going to be so rigged by Trump and the conservatives. They're just going to rig the election. There's no way they're going to lose. And the military, and they go to the Democrats, they go, listen, the Republicans have been corrupted by the Russians, and the president has been corrupted by the Russians, and we need to do something to get them out. And then the door gets kicked open by the conservatives, who throw all the people in jail for colluding against the president. And we have a full turnover fascism. That's coming.
Well, I see it. Like I've often said, like, so yeah.
I'm sorry. Just one more little point before I forget it. Pardon me, Weed Brain. Just one more point, And when that starts to happen, Hitler didn't like the Jews. Now, he had other little people that he didn't like as well, but mostly it was the Jews that they were after. Trump doesn't like anybody. His group here in the United States that he has power does not like anybody who is not white, who is not hetero. And the exterminations will not be limited to Jews. They will be gays and transgenders and atheists and Jews and Muslims and Hindus and anybody who's not white by the time this is all done, if worse comes to worse. I'm just saying. All right, now you may go on.
I was just going to say, I think that, he is in that limited position with this first term of office, right? So he is in the early stages of what Hitler was. Now, we don't know the extent of what this man will go, but I do think that if he's reelected this time, whether fairly or not, however he's reelected, he's going to utilize that as a mandate on his behavior in the first 4 years. So he's going to notch up that behavior 200% because now the American people said it was okay. And that's what we're going to hear, and that's what he's going to do. So people that argue against Trump's fascism now have somewhat of a legitimate argument because it's so wish-washy. We got the kids in the cages on the southern border, but then he does this, In the second term, there's not going to be much of a debate, and that's what scares the hell out of me.
They've already corrupted everything. There's an investigation. There was an investigation into Trump in the first year. There were these investigations. And what was Trump doing? Trump and the conservatives, the corrupt conservatives, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, these people are all corrupt to Russia. And there were these investigations going into, and what did they do? They quashed them. They removed the heads of these investigations. They put in Attorney General Barr, who said he doesn't know voting twice is illegal. This is corruption at its absolute core to its most. Trump said he didn't. They want to kill the post office because he doesn't want people to vote. He did not say he doesn't want people to vote again or because the voting is bad. He said he doesn't want people to vote. And that's true. And you know what? We need to get voting by mail is no longer the way. They're going to try to corrupt it. Both Trump and Russia are now in the process of voting by mail. And I've seen people, even my own I've seen people post, mail yourself $500 in the mail. Would you trust that? Then why would you mail a vote if you don't trust mail in the $500? Well, you know what? I would. The post office used to be a fantastic.
I get all of my paychecks from Pathos in the mail. They do not do direct deposit.
No.
Every month I get my paycheck.
The post office is one of the most noble, honorable companies ever. Through rain, through sleet, through snow, they will sacrifice themselves to get the package there, and it's just mail. Yeah. But they've done it, and they do it, and they save us money. And yet they're being vilified because Trump doesn't want us to vote.
So tell me if I'm wrong, guys, right? When you're listening to Trump talking to Woodward, don't you get the vibe that he's like Goldfinger or some super villain in the third act? He's got the good guys on the run, and he's just going to do the monologue. He's going to do the villain monologue. Did you get that feeling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to laugh and just lay out my entire plan because there's nothing you can do about it. And you know what? There's not. My wife wants to watch Rachel, and I love watching Rachel with my wife and stuff. But man, it's hard to watch Rachel because Rachel will come on and go, look at this and look at this. And actually, we don't watch it. We just recently started paying for cable so we could watch her. And I'm going, oh my God, I have been saying this shit on my show. Matter of fact, I've been kind of going, I don't really need to say that anymore because the world knows. I watched Rachel and she knows. I watched the interview of the FBI guy and they knew. You know what? A lot of this is on Obama and the FBI and the CIA because they knew before the last election, long time before, that Trump was working with Russia. They had investigations going on Trump and several GOP people. He's mentioned it in his book. And we knew it at the time. And Trump and the FBI and the CIA did not drop the hammer. And they should have dropped the hammer. We lost our democracy because of their failure.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I think that Obama dropped the ball. I think I think it's fairly clear that Obama and the intelligence industry understood what was going on. They didn't know how to act. I understand that Obama was under a lot of political pressure not to involve himself in that election.
By corrupt to Russia Republicans.
Oh yeah, because of but by the Republicans, because I truly feel like the Republicans understood what was happening then. They were part of it and they're part of it now, and we see it every day. I mean, they are just as guilty as he is, and we need to make them pay. We need to get them all out, and I hope it happens, but I'm skeptical.
You could understand why the Democrats were somewhat laid back because there were 8 years of relatively good times for the Democrats. They felt like it was a shoo-in. They felt Hillary was going to be a shoo-in in 2016. And so, putting the hammer down on them may have actually caused more trouble.
Yeah.
Considering that they were sure
more
they were going to win the election.
Well, if Hillary had won and then then Obama had been somehow interfering because of Trump's ties to Russia, well, then that would have been their narrative. Obama interfered, wasn't a fair election. Yeah, so I totally get what Andy's saying, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the same thing they can say now. It doesn't matter. They're going to say that anyway.
Oh yeah,
I remember before I was down in Texas and I did IT and I had this far right wing person and she was sitting there. I mean, totally stereotypical of what you saw go down in the Lake Texas thing type of person. And she was sitting there saying, well, he's going to lose this election because they're going to be corrupt and steal it from him no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's exactly the opposite of what's happening. And they do that. Trump comes out and he says exactly what he's doing, but blames the other side. He comes out and says that this is going to be the most corrupt election in history, and he's not wrong. But he's saying it's because the Democrats are making it to where they're trying to make it to where people are going to vote and it's going to be corrupt.
Whenever someone says something crazy to me, I have basically two reactions. One is the reaction that this is worth my time, and I'm going to respond verbally to you, which is I don't understand what you're telling me. Can you tell me more? Mm-hmm. And then the other one is what I would call my avocado toast look.
Yeah.
Because my girlfriend and I, we were sitting at a diner one day and and our waitress was telling us about how she got all the fats from the day she needed from eating avocado toast in the morning. And she didn't look like she got all of her fats in the morning from one piece of avocado toast, to tell you the truth. So it's either the skeptical look or I don't understand what you're telling me. Please tell me more. And then try to Socratically, take that apart and try to unpack it a bit. Because a lot of these people who shout out these slogans right? They're not thinking about what they're saying. If you make a person stop and metacognate, to think about thinking, that's a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watch or listen to Sean Hannity on the radio or Rush Limbaugh much. I do. I like to know the mind of my enemy.
Definitely.
But to Chris's point about, we know without a doubt, and Republicans know without a doubt, that Trump worked with Russia in the last election. We know this. I mean, even the Senate Intelligence report, which was a report run by Republicans, have confirmed that happened, right? Yep. But yet, for the last 3.5 years, Limbaugh, especially Hannity, has spun this narrative that it wasn't Trump that colluded with the Russians, it was Hillary Clinton. And they run this every single day. And they keep promising, hey, we're going to have results. Like, we were right all along. And they just have to keep saying that right up till election day, because 50 million people listen to them every single day.
They are very similar to the cults that promise the end of the world. Mm-hmm. The end of the world never happens, but they just keep stringing their followers along.
Here's my notion. And because of that, what you said about Rush Limbaugh and those little things, all right, there's 2 points I want to make. That after this next civil war, we need to get rid of. We need to get rid of the Second Amendment. Gone. No more Second Amendment.
I'm with you there, brother.
It's there to protect us from threats from without and within. There was a threat that came from without and developed within, and they did nothing but side with that threat. Second Amendment, gone. You bastards, gone. No more right to those fucking guns.
I had Professor Alan Lichtman on, and he wrote a book, Repeal the Second Amendment. It's on my YouTube channel, Laughing in Disbelief. We had a very good conversation for about 45 minutes. And he gave, and in the book, which I read, the NRA specifically twisted the meaning, they did it consciously. They twisted the meaning of the Second Amendment from what it was originally meant to now its current abomination, where any idiot can carry an automatic rifle and semi-automatic rifle in certain states, loaded.
So, it's crazy. My state is one of those states. Anybody can carry a weapon anywhere. The first time I saw a weapon on somebody in Walmart, I freaked out. I had my daughter. I'm like, I don't want my daughter around somebody with a freaking gun.
Let me do a pitch for the state of Massachusetts right now to everyone. We are still taking people into the state, and we could take all. We need all the electoral votes we need. So if your skies are red, blood red. Might be looking at you, California, or people are like walking around the whole West Coast, or people are walking around with their gats, just like hanging out at Walmart. Massachusetts, it's an alternative, and yet it's still in the United States of America.
More people are killed. More innocent children are killed by unsecured weapons than burglars are killed breaking into homes. More children in this country are killed every year than Americans are killed in war over in the Middle East because of unsecured weapons. Because for 8 years we had Republicans going, and the NRA and all the GOP, and thank you Russia for the money to the NRA, going, they're coming for your guns, they're coming for your guns, they're coming. So we had all these right-wing nutbags out there buying up all the guns and all the weapons and all the ammo, and everybody and their dogs got to have guns. Too many shootings in schools. What we need is more guns. The reason why they don't have the reason why they have school shootings, people, the reason why they have it is because we've taken God out of the schools. And yet, what's up with the church shootings?
Yeah.
Bitches.
And those school shootings are in heavily religious areas too.
And they're usually done by right-wing Second Amendment gun nuts.
Yep. And, they talk about the fact that, these are poor, oppressed kids. Whenever it's a white kid, usually there's, he was picked on, or he was bullied or abused. The amount of picked on that this goth dressing, all black wearing white kids go through is nothing compared to the amount that black kids go to, or Hispanic kids in white communities go to, or anybody who lives in the white system. They have no idea what it's like to be oppressed and picked on.
A lot of those kids get picked on because they're racist fucks. Right. And they go around being racist fucks. And most kids nowadays aren't racist fucks. So if you're a racist fuck, you're going to get pushed out of the in groups.
As a parent, what I've seen in the school system, and even in like the school system where my kids are, It's pretty decent. But the thing is that there's a lot of looking the other way with teachers and with the administration, and they will only deal with problems when they get to a certain point. It is difficult, but when people say that there's a zero tolerance policy about bullying, then you can make as many laws or rules as you want to, but unless people are made to enforce those rules, they are useless. There just needs teachers, parents need to be involved and really put pressure on their schools to be zero tolerance for bullying of any kind.
Right. Totally the teachers and the schools in this country have been starved by the conservatives for years and years and years as they move to privatize and do these other things. While at the same time, our teachers, do you remember? I remember being a kid and teachers bringing materials from home, pens and piece of paper and stuff like this to give to the kids because the kids didn't have. And it still goes on. It's even worse now. And yet every cop out there has a big, huge, fancy truck that's all blacked out with these big fancy lights, and they've got a shotgun and they've got a machine gun and they got full body armor, and at the drop of a hat, any hat, they arrive with all this military gear.
Well, it's part of the Republican.
We need pencils more than they need military.
We live in a police state,
it's part and a failed state, because that is part of the goal of religious fundamentalists, is to create a failed state where their religion can just flourish.
That's right. And here's one of the catches, though. One of the reasons why I believe Donald Trump wanted the virus to rampage through our country and destroy our economy is because our economy was already going to be destroyed. It was already going to be trashed because they've taken out all the taxes on all the companies and everything. They were literally just giving billions and billions of dollars away, and the economy was going to collapse. So this virus comes along, threatens the economy, and all of a sudden we've got the Democrats agreeing to drop trillions of dollars into the economy that saved the economy from the inept Republican. And they just shuffled it to the rich. They shuffled it. Even the money to stop the bleeding went right to the rich. The ultra rich.
You hit the nail on the head right there, Chris. People ask, well, why would Trump want the virus to run rampant through the country? Why would he want all these people to die? Yep. You just nailed it, because economists were looking at these bubbles about to burst for years. They were telling it when the tax cuts came, this is going to be a disaster. That disaster was about to happen. So that's why he wanted this economy he needed an excuse for the economy to go to shit that wasn't him.
This is the perfect excuse. Not only did it hide his ineptitude with the economy, the fact that they literally plundered our nation. They have plundered our nation for 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted to hide that, and also they know there's no way they're going to win a fair election. No way. If the people are allowed to vote any way fair, there's no way. So they're doing everything they can to stop the vote, including letting this virus, encouraging this virus to rampage through our nation. Matter of fact, the second wave is supposed to hit us mid-October, which is perfect for them, because mid-October, you don't want the second wave to actually hit on November 3rd. That's just stupid. You want it to happen beforehand. So everybody's all fucked up everywhere, and they're like, oh no, beforehand, so we can shut down the election. Hide their ineptitude with the economy and steal the election. So they don't want people out voting. They're trying to eliminate the post office. They're trying to kill the fucking post office so people can't vote. We should be able to vote by these right here. This thing it's good enough to do my banking on. It will protect my money. Millionaires use it for their money. It can take a picture and a thumbprint and take my vote. We have a way to vote. This bullshit about not letting Americans vote is over. We should do this. Nobody's talking about doing this. Why?
I want to speak to the point about how the country has been hollowed out from the inside. And I want to bring up Venezuela for a minute, because once upon a time, Venezuela, which is now a pretty horrible place to live in, was once a country that was wealthy, had a lot of oil wealth, but due to the corruption of its leaders, they didn't pay any attention to infrastructure. They didn't update any of the oil refineries. They didn't do any of that. So in a similar way, except on a larger scale, that's what the United States of America is experiencing since the 80s. With the tax cuts, there have been this hollowing out of infrastructure with the school systems, with utilities, and it takes a longer time for the country to kind of fall into this kind of collapse because we're such a large economy. But we're seeing signs of that, of the system kind of creaking and falling apart.
Yes.
And part of that is the school system.
Right. They've been working us for decades. I believe Russia's behind a lot of it, really. But
there's one thing that Trump could have done that would have had bipartisan support across the board. He talked about doing it against his own party, and that was infrastructure. We need to invest because we got to put like $20 trillion in our infrastructure because it's crumbling.
Oh yeah.
And if he would have done that, that would have been bipartisan. He could have had bipartisan support across the board. Rebuild America, been known as one of the greatest presidents of all time, but they don't want to do that.
No.
They want that infrastructure to crumble. They need it to.
They need it
They
to.
They do. I mean, we are. What is it? We're not a colony of. We're a subject state of Russia now. So what would we be called if we're? So it's like
we're like the Romans used to have client states, right?
Yeah, we'd be like a client state. Yeah.
So like for an example, before like Armenia was a client state off and on of the Romans. Different states would become client states before they became official provinces of Rome. So when I think about, when we think about the American relationship, especially during the 50s and the 60s with countries like Japan, West Germany, those were like client states because the power difference between the nations were so off kilter.
Well, they talk, and guys, I appreciate it talking about paper voting in the United States. Paper voting, that's wonderful. So we got paper voting, and now we vote by paper. And the vote comes in, and we've got paper. We've literally got paper that says who won. And they go, you know what? Biden won. And Trump goes, no, he didn't. He didn't win. I won. This is false. This has been faked. So now we have to have an investigation. So who's going to put people in charge of that investigation? Trump and the majority conservatives in there, you know what I mean? That's exactly, we've seen this happen over and over again. It doesn't matter. If he loses, all he has to do is say, no, I didn't lose. And the recount doesn't matter because the person in charge of the recount will be corrupt. Well, like the post office, the person in charge of who? The post office. When Trump came into office, he put Betsy DeVos in office. He put Ted Cruz in charge of he started putting people in charge of these things who wanted to destroy these bureaus and these departments in our country. And they have. And now they're doing this. It's.
Well, yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, this, whatever happens in November, I think that one thing that we can expect, this is going to be one of the messiest elections we have ever seen in our lives. It's going to take weeks, if not months, to find out who won. Both sides are going to have the best legal teams in the history of the world ready to combat the other about who is going to be president of the United States. It's going to be dirty, it's going to be nasty, and it's going to be legal. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I think you're right about almost all that, brother. The only thing I think that is wrong is I heard my wife told me, I didn't actually see this, but my wife told me that on Rachel, she saw that Rachel Maddow said that Donald Trump's got lawyers in every state ready to battle any result that's not positive for him.
Yep.
Does Biden also have lawyer? I don't think he does.
Hillary has come out and told him he needs to. So if he doesn't, he needs to get on the fucking ball.
They need to get on the ball. Back to what we were saying earlier, I actually I could be led to believe that the DNC want to lose, that they're literally bought out. That they are bought out and that they're willing to lose. They're just putting on as good a show as they can.
They don't want to win in the sense that they don't want progressives to win. I mean, that we've seen that in the primaries, right?
Right. Why is it worse to have progressives than fascists? If we could afford $6 trillion to dump out of the economy into the economy, why couldn't? Right. Well, if the fascists could do it to save and hide the economy, why couldn't the progressives have done it? Imagine if we had a progressive flood where progressives had absolute power and dumped as much money into our society and did the things, free college for people, free debt relief for students who've got, all these things that would happen, free medical care. Well, I say it's free. It's government, just like all the other countries that it works in. Looking at you, Canada. Looking at you, England. Looking at you, Australia. Looking at you, Europe. Looking at you, freaking Mexico.
Well, I think the problem here is money. I think you're right. I think the Democratic Party does want to lose. I think that they put the two worst candidates in the history of their party the last 2 years up against the worst candidate in the history of the country because that's the only way they can lose to that man. I think that Trump's tax cuts, the tax cuts for corporations, is dangerous to them because it affects their pockets as well. And when it comes to progressives, progressives want to get rid of that wage gap. They want to boost the economy by putting money, which is power, into the hands of the people. And that terrifies the rich. And it's not just the Republicans that placate to the super rich of this country. We live in an oligarchy. They own both parties, and the Democrats are just as guilty. So I do think that they want to lose. I think that Joe Biden is the one man that could have lost to Donald Trump. They put him up, and now they're just rolling the dice, you know?
Well, yeah. I will say this. This is why it's so important for people who are progressive to be active in the off season, so to speak, after November, or to vote down ballot and vote for progressive candidates, to be engaged in your community and engaged in community structures, community groups, to work for progressive values.
And I think Noam Chomsky said it best.
Have a cup of tea.
Yeah, have a cup of tea, Chris. That was Paul Kamish. Noam Chomsky said it best. He said that a vote for Biden is a vote against fascism, not a vote for neoliberal neoliberal democratic values. So you're not voting for the Democratic Party if you vote for Biden. You're voting against fascism. Noam Chomsky. Fascism. And that's Noam Chomsky, guys. I mean,
I take him. Yeah. Well, Trina DeLuca says, and why would they want to lose if Trump is awful? Why would they want to do that? All right, so imagine why. So you got Trump and it's like henchmen. What if the Democrats and the DNC were actually just Trump's henchmen, and their purpose is to lose?
I have to tell you something. I'm going to bring out some Neil deGrasse Tyson here. And is this just a cheap argument from authority that Andy's pulling out?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it is. But
pull it out, Andy. Never pull out.
Yeah, never. Yeah. So in general, if something can be explained by incompetency, if a certain act or actions can be explained by incompetency as against to maliciousness, it's more than likely going to be incompetency than maliciousness. There are terms and conditions that apply. Like with Trump, you can pretty much assume that he's being malicious and not just incompetent. But in general, especially with the Democrats, having watched the Democrats just been so incompetent for decades,
a long time,
decades. The laundry list of the DNC incompetencies go from here to around the world several times. And so when I think about their choices, there are some malicious choices, definitely, about attacking progressives, for an example. And then there's just the dumb effery that is the Democratic Party. And
I agree.
I think that's most of it.
Well, I think I do agree with that. I don't, I think that there's an element of them working together and being friends off camera. But at the same, I do think that there are ideals. You got people that have been in Congress for a very long time. What's his name? Jerry Adler, I think his name is. People try to say that he's establishment. I'm like, guy's been a progressive for a very long time. Just because he's been in Congress for 20 years, look at his policy. It's still somewhat the same. Yeah, it does seem like their ill intentions are more towards the progressives, which they see as the extremist of their party, as opposed to fighting the extreme far right that the other party, the entire party, has become. And that's the issue. And they're turning off a lot of progressives with that. A lot of progressives are doing that hashtag down ballot, keep Trump, but have a solid opposition, because they're actively turning us off. And I can't even combat it. I can't look at a person and say, no, you should vote for Biden, because it's blatant what they're trying to do to us.
I will say that the power of the presidency is imperial, and that you can downvote all the F you want. But if the top guy,
I agree,
or top woman,
I'm voting Biden,
a fascist, we're all screwed.
Yeah, I mean, even if Biden is completely senile and it's his handlers, those handlers are better than the white supremacists that are handling Donald Trump right now.
That's the thing. Yeah. And who gets to choose the next person on the Supreme Court? Whoever's president and whoever's in his cabal,
Tom Cotton and Cruz, that douchebag, whatever his name is, they're on the short list for the Supreme Court with Donald Trump. That's disgusting. All you got to know. That's all you have to know.
I know. And Cruz is going to vote with Trump, even if Cruz wasn't sold out to the Republicans or the Republicans, the Russians, even if he wasn't sold out, because they got that. He's one of those with this one voter policy. the whole
and he's a
abortion thing, for
coward
example.
and a weak
Oh, yeah,
man.
yeah.
I mean, Trump talked about his wife, talked about his dad being part of the JFK assassination, and now he's a Trump lapdog.
Hilarious. Yeah, Trump basically pooed in this guy's mouth in public. And Ted Cruz just chewed it up and swallowed it and said, "Can I have more, sir?"
One of the weakest men I've ever seen in my life. I'm glad I don't know that dude. I'm really glad I don't know him.
Yeah. That's just disgusting. The things that they have done and the things that he get away with. Trump did say he could shoot somebody down on Fifth Avenue.
Oh, he's totally right. I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I actually believe him. I think he could. I think Trumpers would be like, that's strength.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No doubt. Well, it just, I don't know. I think it would depend. Is it a white person he's shooting?
Right. Well, you know,
it's a tough call. If he's a white person, then there may be a little tiny bit of an uproar. Maybe.
Possibly. I doubt it.
But you know what it'll do?
Not if that white person was Antifa or a liberal.
Yeah, well, that's what they'll blame them. You know, you remember back in the day, you remember back in the McCarthy era, they used to kick in the doors these writers and liberals and actors. They would sometimes give them the label of being like pornographers or pedophiles. Remember the pedophiles? They would call them pedophiles and try to charge them with this kind of stuff. We have that shit going again. They're using in conjunction with this scare thing going on with the QAnon.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you know,
I see it coming in the future. Them kicking indoors and laying blame and pulling people out.
It's all over Facebook. Yeah.
When you have a poorly educated public, you know, they are, especially a religious. Well, they seem to go hand in hand, right? A religious, poorly informed, poorly educated public. They are given to moral panics, whether it's a satanic panic back in the 1980s, or whether you have the Antifa panic. Both purely manufactured, panics.
The Antifa panic is just an offshoot of the Red Scare that they've been promoting for the last 50 years, 60 years.
Isn't it funny that they're blaming the left and calling us? Have you heard they're like comrade and that we're socialists? So they'll paint up like Nancy Pelosi with a picture of her in front of the red background with the hammer and sickle, like socialism is Russian, and yet the president is literally the lapdog of Vladimir Putin.
Yep.
And they don't see.
Oh, yeah. Again, if you listen to Hannity, you listen to Limbaugh, they're painting Joe Biden as an outright communist. They're calling it the Bolshevik Bernie party. That's the Democratic Party now, Bolshevik Bernie. I mean, I shit you not, like Joe Biden is farther right than Ronald Reagan was.
Sure he is.
But he's a communist.
Oh, yeah. I know.
You know, you got to give him props for knowing what a Bolshevik is, to tell you the truth. They should just be given like a gold star.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I didn't know you guys knew more than one syllable.
You got a word
Good
right.
job.
Yeah, it was fun. It's kind of funny. The Antifa comments, you know, do these people not know what fascism is? They claim to be patriots. Fascism and democracy do not go together. You cannot be a patriot and love the Constitution and be a fascist.
Well, you know, they live in I mean, this is not an original thought on my case, but they truly live in a whole different universe of news. I was on the Fox News site yesterday. So, you know, to come up with new
that
material.
Was the second thing. I'm sorry.
There was the Fox News site, but there was nothing about Woodward's new book, Rage, about, you know, the conversation.
He did name it after me.
Oh, did he? Very good. I'm glad.
I gave him permission.
Excellent. But there was nothing about that on Fox News yesterday on the website. It was all about these other secondary, you know, fear mongering, Antifa Navy. You know, just riffing off what someone said in the chat about the Antifa Navy sinking down all those boats. But yeah, you know, they live in a different cognitive universe than the rest of us.
That's right. You know, remember earlier I said there were 2 points. One of them was that no more NRA. After this next civil war, whenever these racist right-wing nutbags, the South who's trying to rise again, when they lose again, no more NRA. They lost that right because they were supposed to defend our nation from threats, foreign and domestic, and they helped the threat. Both foreign and domestic. They've lost that right. No more Second Amendment. The second thing is no more Fox News. Fox News should be dismantled, and the little AM radio stations or the little hate radio stations, conservative radio stations across the country should be dismantled.
You don't have to do that if we have a decent tax rate for the rich, because the rich are the ones who are funneling all the money into Fox News. If we cut the head off of the snake, then a lot of things will be solved, or at least ameliorated.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, no more Fox News, no more of those little things. That part of their First Amendment, they lost. You are no longer allowed to intentionally mislead the people for whatever reason like they did. We used to have rules against this. They had rules in broadcasting to keep them from doing exactly this and becoming any news media, from becoming a thing. But then they removed that law. The conservatives, the rich conservatives removed that law. And Fox News was born, a year and a half later.
I just want to respond to PMARS too. Andy teaches us about the Bolshevik Revolution. A little bit of trivia about the Bolshevik Revolution is that the German military, who was fighting the Russian state at the time, funneled a crap ton of money to the Bolsheviks to help the Bolsheviks take over the Russian government. So that's all I'm going to say about the Bolshevik Revolution. I know I could talk about it more, but that's all I'm going to say.
And PMARS is special.
Oh, special.
Right. Good morning, PMARs.
Good morning, PMARs. This PMARS is special, and I've got to say, dedicated. I mean, bro. I mean, I see what happened was one of my mods the other day had banned PMARS, and I didn't think nothing about it. I don't care. But I happened to be in my community settings, allowing one of my bots in, and I was scrolling through, and I accidentally thought I was looking at the moderators. And I thought, son of a bitch, somebody added him as a moderator. Let's get that off of there. So I clicked X and removed him and went on. Well, what it was is somebody had added PMARS to the blocked section. And I had actually unblocked him. So this morning when he showed up, I was like, oh, that's what happened. And so I was like, you know what? I don't want this morning. I'm going to drop you. These lies, these just spitting lies. I'm just not going to have it. We get enough of that through anything that comes out of the conservative mouth.
Audience, if you're interested in PMARS, here in a little while, as long as everything works all right, I've been having some issues. I'm going to be streaming about PMARS, Von Helton, and the Rabid Rabbi. It's going to be fun.
The Rabid Rabbi. Tell me more about him.
His name is John Grishala, formerly known as J-Dubs, was a Brett Keen's sycophant, old school trash talk, right-wing racist douchebag. Yeah, so I mean, if you've been in the YouTube community long enough, you've probably seen the dumpster fire that is John Grishala. I'll be talking about him today.
Hey, here's a good point made by Lola Ray. This is exemplary of what I was saying earlier. She says the New York Attorney General is moving to dissolve the new NRA for fraud. Yep. Yes, until Trump can move his cronies into position and he can remove the people in charge of that investigation. Yep. And replace them with somebody pro him, and then it'll disappear. And that's what he's done at every step. We had an impeachment, and yet there was no evidence, there was no speakers, there was nothing put forward, because the corrupt conservatives on the right hid everything. They too are also corrupt. So they wanted to hide it all. Therefore, we got an impeachment, but not a removal from office. We only got an impeachment because the Democrats at the time held majority in the House. That's the only reason. That's it. So, am I wrong? Am I just rambling here?
I don't think you're wrong.
Can I have a stroke?
I don't think you're wrong.
I think you could be rambling and correct at the same time. That's what I think, Chris.
Okay.
One thing that I do know, and I will say this, the coronavirus, while I do believe what we've said earlier, Trump, I think he used this coronavirus because he thought it was going to benefit him. I think the coronavirus is going to be his undoing. I'm starting to get a little more hope. My dad, I've talked about it openly. I've talked about it openly. My dad has been a staunch Trump supporter. And now my dad is like, I'm probably going to vote Biden because Trump really fucked up on the coronavirus. And I mean, he has been Trump trained for right up until like a week ago when my brother first told me. I'm like, no. And then I'm like, oh shit, my dad really turned around that quickly.
The coronavirus is the thing, because he was going to walk in. I actually have, as I've said it before on this channel and other channels, I have money. I had money. I still have money, a couple $100 on Trump winning. Now, I'm not a Trump supporter, obviously, on predicted.org, but I thought he was going to win. I felt it was a shoo-in before, I put the money down like a year ago, and I'm happy I'm going to lose the money now that I'm out of work. I'm happy. But yeah, the only thing that's sinking Trump is the coronavirus. Otherwise, you'd be walking through this.
I think so too. It would be a lot easier for him to at least cheat and not look like he was cheating. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Well, the only thing, again, the coronavirus helped him in two aspects. One, it helped him cover the fact that the economy was going to collapse. So had he not had the coronavirus,
that's why
right about this time, we would be sitting here going thin food lines and all. The economy would be collapsing because they'd be, well, I don't know, somewhere before it collapsed, they would go, you know what? We need to inject $1 trillion into the economy.
That's they were going to have to put a lot of money into it. Yeah.
But they didn't have to eat that hat. They didn't have to because the coronavirus came along and they got to inject it all anyway. But yeah, no, you're right. I absolutely agree with Andy. Heaven forbid that I disagree with his assertions on the president. But I'm just saying that it wouldn't have been so bad. Or, you know what I mean? It still would have happened. He would still be in a bind. But what happened was fortuitously, they saved the economy. The coronavirus saved the economy, and it's killing the election. Yeah, and those are both for him. Good for him.
Yeah, I agree with both. I think that the coronavirus is hurting him with his base, but also the coronavirus is giving him a reason to really stifle the election, or even maybe postpone it. Once that surge hits mid-October, we're gonna see what he does.
Right. Well, he's still trying to strangle the post office. Anything they can do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hate to say it, but my son posted a thing on there going, would you mail yourself $500? Basically,
people
it's the
right-wing hundreds and thousands of dollars all the time.
Absolutely, all the time.
All the time.
But it's a right-wing
people mail their
It's a right-wing kill the post office. It's a right, It's right-wing trying to kill the post office. It's spreading their nonsense and their lies about the post office.
And it's not just coronavirus. It's also profit. So like the guy that's in charge of the post office now, he has something to do with like FedEx or one of the rival corporations. So they're trying to gut it out. So the people that donate to their campaigns can make more money.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just kind of mention something real quick before we go, guys. The hour is almost up. This is the first time we've ever broke 50 live viewers on YouTube. We've done it once before. We hit 100, but that was with Dragnaut Silvas. He's got a big crowd, and he went over to his crowd and going, "Hey, everybody, I'm going live in 5 minutes over here." And he brought a whole bunch of them with him. Other than that, just for a normal, everyday run-of-the-mill show, we've never broken 50 live viewers on YouTube.
Well, I think it's because of Mr. Rage being here, to tell you the truth.
I think it's Mr. possibly Mr. Rage.
There might be a reason I'm buzzing, but no, I think it's because you have a very consistent, good show, and I think that you'll start to see that more and more often.
Also, but I am the thumbnail, the title.
I've had some Smokey drama going on, and people love drama.
People love drama. That's true. That's true. Yeah. And I'm just really happy. Thank you all for being here today. Andy, what do you got going on? Today's Friday. You got stuff.
Reverend Brother Heathen Jimmy Lou. He's a funny guy. He's coming on my channel at 11 a.m. today Eastern. I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm thinking it's going to be crazy, and I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Awesome. What time?
11 a.m., sir.
11 a.m. on the
Laughing in Disbelief YouTube channel. Yep.
And if you're not subscribed to Andy, it's down below. Go check him out. He's also, you can find him at Laugh Purgatory over on Twitter. He's a writer for
Pathos.
Yeah, he's right. In case you didn't know, Nokasuchi, you got stuff going on, dude. I mean, it's happening in just like a little bit. Drop some knowledge. Let's see. You're muted.
I always do that now. Yeah, I always do that now. 12 o'clock Eastern, as long as I can get everything working. I've had some issues. I think there are more YouTube issues than my own. So hopefully everything will work. I'm going to be covering Von Helton, John Gershala, formerly known as J-Dubs, and P. Mars, whom you lovingly saw in the chat, talking about racism, why maybe it's okay to be a racist as long as you're patriotic, and how racists are the most persecuted minority in the country. I shit you not, 12 o'clock, you're not going to want to miss it.
Good luck with all that.
No, you're muted, Chris.
I saw you do it, and I was like, Rage can't be the only one that does it. So I had to mute myself every time. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut everything down. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. Hey, there's Lola Ray. She's in the audience. She is awesome. I got commercials from her. Thank you to everybody. KCA, Randy, remember Sammy Jenkins showed up. Lots of wonderful people. Thank you all for coming by today and watching the show. Thank you to, of course, the whole damn nation. And it worked. Facebook worked. I must have fixed it. I think it worked. I'm going to go back and make sure. Looks like it works, and I was able to stream to Facebook. And thank you to all the people on the listening on the Daily Atheist Morning Show podcast. You guys are wonderful. I hope everybody has a safe and fantastic weekend. We will see you Monday. I'm not going to do the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I'm not going to do the Sci-Fi Saturday tomorrow. I'm taking a break. I like taking the weekends off because I'm just lazy. So I'm doing it. I'll see you guys Monday. You have a great weekend. Take care.
Be strong.
Thank you for watching the show. A special shout out to my gold level Patreon supporters, Ian Davenport, Cindy Plaza, and tons of mice. Thank you and have a great day.